Cancer.
Hello Cancer, this is your November forecast for 2016, and let me just start out with, how's your home expansion taking on? Have you moved yet? Or are you thinking about planning to move or upgrading your domain? This is what Jupiter is doing and has been doing over these last couple of months for you, and I know that a lot of you are already up and running with it. Jupiter wants to give you more space. Why? Because you're feeling the need for more space. So, and there's many ways you can do it. You can do it out there in the physical, meaning your physical home, or you could do it internally, in your inner space, right? But regardless, there is this beautiful balance now starting to take place for a lot of you, and especially those of you born in the first third of your sign are starting to feel the generosity of this coming in from Jupiter. But we have your main focus this month here as opposed to last month. October was much about family and so forth. This month you're moving into your creativity and expression of that creativity, whether you write, sculpt, paint, dance, whatever it is. It could be sports and so forth, but things that you can do at your leisure. And this would be the month to do it, because next month it's going to be really busy with routines for you, right? So it is a month where we can actually see that there's a lot of romance going on too, especially for those of you single. Cancer, you might find somebody this month that you could jive with and find the right frequency alongside with. And for those of you who are married, well, let me tell you, the Moon and Mercury in this 5th house is all about communicating, sharing, and being playful with this energy. Plus, we get a lot of passion going on up there in your 7th house for marriage, long-term commitments, and so forth. There has been a lot of transformation for many of you Cancerians. Some of you might have even seen here that things have come to an end over these last couple of years while Pluto entered into this area. And that's for those of you born in the first half of your sign. The second half of you Cancerians, you still have a number of years coming up here where you will see very deep transformational states taking place in your long-term relationships. Because why? It's you that is transforming. There's other needs, deeper needs that are wanting to come out, be expressed, be appreciated. And it's also you birthing yourself in this sense, in the way that you interact with other people. We're not just talking with your spouse. 7th house is partnership and how you partnership and who you work closely with. All of these things are coming in with more of a strength that you are now starting to communicate, and it's also your goals are becoming stronger as you're climbing. It's as if I can see you really seeing that mountaintop up there and saying, darn it, I am going to reach it. Whether it takes time or not, but I have that goal. And you know, it is like Mount Everest, because Pluto is in Capricorn, and you are like that mountain goat, right, that will climb whether it takes time. But this month, back to November here, Mars has been cruising in October in this area, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, this passion, this drive, this dedication that you have, and the interaction, which has been specifically important to you Cancerians here. Both October, if you go back and re-listen to it, you will know exactly how to connect the dots of how you're going to start off here in October. And you have probably a little bit over a week, 10 days or so, where Mars is going to be helpful and supportive for you to kind of wrap that up, because it's going to be 2 years before you have the same opportunity to work through, at least at this depth that you have now in this area of your chart. Then Mars will be moving into the 8th house, which has to do with shared resources. This is you now looking at the balance between you and your partner, but not only that, but it's also commissions, royalties, that kind of thing, investment funds, retirement funds, and Mars is wanting to look out for you. Again, it's a 2-year cycle, and now it's wanting to put down the grounds how you could save or come to earn more on your investments if you use Mars properly, right? That's what it's all about, and that's why we're here to share with you. But we also have these changes that has been going on here in your career area, and I can see that many of you have uprooted and started new. Good for you, because now I feel that you're more being true to yourselves, living up to that spark, that energy that you have, because you're here for a specific purpose, and I know many of you Cancerians are here now wanting to express it through your careers. And there's still a few of you out there over the next couple of years that will see these changes come in, but for those of you who have already started your new journey, I know that you are super thrilled with the sense of liberation, freedom, to be exactly who it is you are, to do the things that you are best at. So we have a lot of things going on here in November, and we have a beautiful month with a lot of things lined up. We got a couple of challenges too. We have the new moon here on the 29th of November. I'm just going through the moons first. The 29th of November, it will be in Sagittarius. The area of your day-to-day scheduling, the way you work out, the diets that you eat, it's how you interact here daily with your coworkers and so forth. So the new moon is going to help you, inspire you to plant a few seeds that can grow for the whole oncoming year until next time the new moon comes into this area. But you should start seeing fruits already by next month into December, how that's worked out for you, and that will be the first of those 12 months this new moon will be able to take effect, right? So, and the 6th house is quite important here in November as well. Why? Well, we do have both Saturn and Venus here. Saturn is wanting you to shore up your security, how you work on your daily basis, that you don't overwork. It's wanting to cut things to the core so that you can actually become more efficient. And I think you've started to see how that works for you, that you're not always doing the same things as you used to do. All right, you're cutting back, and or should I say, being better about saying no when you mean it, right? Drawing a line there. Venus is in this area too this month, and here just the last few days of October, Venus and Saturn were conjunct. So if you notice how beautiful Venus is in the night, in the evening sky, well then you know here this month that Saturn is right around it as we start off the month. And Venus is you now looking at how you can improve this area as well, and doing it with joy, not just with obligation or the sense of feeling that you have to. Venus gives you the feeling that you want to square this away. And whatever you do in November now is going to help you for the whole entire year, because Venus too takes a whole year in its cycle. And then she's going to move into your 7th house for love, romance, and your partnership. They're a little bit later here this month as she moves into December. But the full moon, it will be in Taurus. And for you, that's in your area of hopes, wishes, and dreams. It's also you, how you're going to be more social alongside with your friends. It's also an area of groups and organizations. So this is what this full moon is going to illuminate and put on center stage there on the 14th, sorry, 14th of November. But as we move along and get into the calendar of the month for the major aspects, the Astro Weeklies are more for the day-to-day aspects. So thank you for following. Those of you who tune in to the Astro Weeklies here every Sunday, then you get more a day-to-day sense of what is going on with the minor aspects, but that we are all under the influence of. We get to follow the moon and how the moon is touching us and these other planets in your scope. But the major aspects, and before I start on that, I just want to tune you in. For those of you who have been commenting and wondering why I always sit the way I do like this and not looking straight into the camera, you'll get the answer to that at the end of the video here this month. Anyway, starting off on the 1st, we have the Sun and Neptune. They're trining, and the Sun is you, Neptune, your hopes, your dreams, also what it is you ideally foresee for yourself. So it's a day where you can feel romantic. It's a day where you can feel quite creative. On the 2nd, we got Mercury and Pluto also lining up in a good way to have any deeper discussion that you need to communicate. This is a day to bring it out. You can actually stretch it over to the 4th when Venus and Uranus meets up in a golden trine. So the influences, they kind of run together, the 1st towards the 4th. The 4th, you might get a little nice surprise. Love, love, love when Venus and Uranus meet up this way, which they do twice a year. We'll have that trine. And Venus being love and Uranus being the big OMG, which is a good, oh my God, when it is perfectly aligned. And of course, it all depends on where you have your planets. In your own personal chart, which I can't see from here, but these transits are speaking for themselves. Now on the 7th, we have the Sun and Pluto, which is going to dig one step deeper from the conversation you had on the 2nd. Okay, so you might get some confirmation or some validation here on the 7th, which is going to allow you to assimilate that inner sense of power. And since Pluto is in your 7th house, I feel it has to do with your relationship that these talks are going to be all about, romantically and so forth. On the 15th, we have Mercury and Mars, which is communication and determination, also aligned really well. Your Mars is here right between the 7th and coming into your 8th house. So again, it has to do with the direction that you and your partner are choosing to take together. Then on the 18th, 19th, what we have here is first what can appear to be a slight miscommunication, and then opening up to something that is actually quite beautiful and romantic and creative. A great night to go out and watch a show, theater, or go out and have a candlelight dinner. This is when Venus and Neptune come together, and for you, Neptune being in your 9th house, Venus at the time here, now in your 7th house. Again, it is partnership, and then doing something that can widen your horizons. It's also very spiritual time when these two meet up, especially because of your 9th house does rule spirituality, as does your 12th house. So you might just feel you want to dive into something, do some research, take on a course, something that can add to the knowledge base that you already have. And in that case, it would either be something spiritual or also something artistic. And we know a lot of you Cancerians are very artistic. So the 23rd, yes, great news coming in. It's all about securing either a contract or some agreement. We also have, we have both Saturn and Jupiter beautifully aligned to contractual agreements or communications or beginning of some negotiations. So pay attention, 22nd, 23rd. On the 24th, we're coming up here on the holiday, and oops, here we have a situation. We always like to look at our holidays, you know, being well aspected, but what we're seeing here is something of, members, maybe perhaps of the family, if you're joining in with a family group, or it could be a friend group, but there might be some discussions here about not seeing eye to eye, and that could be a little difficult. Differences of opinions, and this is one of the times we just want to agree to disagree and let it be by it. But for some of you out there, hopefully not you, you might kind of see how this can take off a little bit, but then there is more so, I feel, the trying to make up for it on the 25th, when Venus and Pluto comes together to also discuss Venus square Pluto. So we got Jupiter square Pluto, Jupiter square Pluto, Venus square Jupiter in these 2 days, alongside with Venus conjuncting Pluto. So there is a lot of amassed energy there. Hopefully, it's better to just fly under the radar on this one and get beyond it. 26th onwards, then I see things can start lifting up a little bit, and there may also be a piece of good news, email, text, or something, or just through an encounter, as well as Mercury and Uranus are coming together beautifully. So listen, you want to go to the end here right now if you are amongst them that are curious about the angle. All right? Camera angle. Let's have a good one, everyone. See you next month. Bye now. So listen, I thought I would address the comments that you guys have had and speculated about over a long time. And that is, why do I look this direction and into the camera this way? It has a couple of reasons, and of course for me, I'm more all about the information rather than the camera, but just to let you know, I have two very important reasons for why I sit the way I do. For one, I want to keep in touch with you on the camera, but then I have my board here with the transits, the dates, and so forth, because not all that information is stored mentally. But there's a deeper reason, and that is the third point. You, the board, and then the midpoint. Now the midpoint for me is when I access the future, okay, when I put it together. And you can try this for yourself as well, because see, if you look to the left, you're processing the past. That's where your memories go down memory lane. That's the past, that side of our brain. When we look to the right, we're accessing the future, right? That's where you go when you're speculating what will happen now in the future. You will go this direction with your eyes. So for me, I channel my information when I look in this direction. So for me, rather than sitting straight on, then it works for me. My information flows better. It's how I roll. Now, if I was to talk to you without thinking or considering the future, then I would look straight on like this, because then I'm just talking about the here and now, whatever, and looking at you. But as soon as I psychically start working, well, then I got to go like this to get that information in the future and download it from there. So that's why, no mystery, but now you know. See you next time.